Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And this time of year is the peak of enrollment season. And what we're doing is we're featuring the enrollment guide blog posts that we have at sachartermoms.com. And today we're featuring Jubilee Academies, which is a network of charter schools that was founded here in San Antonio, but now they're across different regions like Coastal Bend, Rio Grande Valley, up to Austin. And they have a cluster of campuses here in San Antonio. So our special guest is Kevin Phillips, and Dr. Phillips is the superintendent of Jubilee Academies. And I'm really excited to get to talk to him. We have, there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to the enrollment guide blog post. There's lots of great information there, but sometimes it's better to hear it from the source. So Dr. Phillips, I'm really grateful that you're on Charter Moms Chats to talk to us about Jubilee Academies.
Well, thank you, Inga, for the opportunity to spend some time with you and really get to share what Jubilee is all about. I consider it an honor and a privilege just to be able to be in the same network or room with you because I've heard such great things about the work that you're doing. Actually seen some of your work, and I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but I follow you on Twitter as well. So
I
it's a
appreciate that.
privilege for me to be here.
Well, thank you so much. And okay, well, I want to start. Oh, well, actually, let me fix up my screen because I want people to see you. I'm not the big deal here. You're the big deal. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so Dr. Phillips, can you tell us about like big picture, like the mission and vision of Jubilee Academies? Because some folks may not have heard of Jubilee Academies yet.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, Jubilee, our vision is to be the premier choice in education. And what that means is like we want our families to choose us over anybody else because of the experience that they have with Jubilee. We want to have top notch customer service experience. We want them to have a top notch educational experience, but we also want them to be able to do life at the highest level with Jubilee, with our staff. And we want our staff to see us as the premier choice in education as well. Because we know that educators these days have lots of choices of where to take their time and their talents. And Jubilee wants to be the premier choice for not just kids and families, but also for staff and educators who are committed to doing a great job for kids and families. And so that's our vision. Our mission statement is to create a nurturing environment that's focused on leadership and educational excellence. And in that nurturing environment, we want people to, it's not just, when you say nurturing environment, some people think the touchy feely type environment. That's not necessarily what we mean. I mean, we don't mind high fiving kids and fist bumping kids, and even if they need a hug, sometime we give them a hug, and that's nurturing. But we also want to grow them and help them grow and mature into the people that they want to be. We want to nurture their lifestyle. We want to nurture their academics. We want to nurture their social emotional well-being to be the people that they dream of being. And the focused on leadership piece, we really, and this has been since the start of Jubilee 20 years ago, 21 years ago, the leadership focus that we've had on developing our students and developing our staff members into being a leader in any situation. Now, that doesn't mean that you got to be out front and rah-rahing or making everybody follow you, because leaders aren't just the ones that are seen. Sometimes there's leaders behind closed doors. And what we mean by that is you got to first be able to lead yourself before you can lead others. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into our discussion. Hopefully, I'll be able to share a little bit about our determined destiny values. But that's a big part of that leadership piece that we try to teach our kids and allow our staff to really enhance in their abilities there at work. And then the educational excellence piece is just us creating an environment where kids can perform at the highest level, giving them the resources that they need, creating the environment that they need, and creating the vision. Like if you want to be an architect, you want to be an engineer, you want to be a nurse or a doctor or whatever that is that you want to do, we want to create that vision and then help you take the steps to get there. That's that educational excellence piece. Whatever people want to accomplish, we want to be the ones to help them accomplish that.
I muted myself. Sometimes we have background noise in the house. That's the danger of working from home. So, thank you for giving that overview and the big picture about Jubilee Academies. And that's one thing I've learned over the years of from working with Jubilee is that it's a very thoughtful and mission driven organization that there's a fair amount of introspection about like what are we trying to do and what kind of people are we shaping our students to be. And I think that that's just a really important part of the school culture that families should know about, that it's not just the academics, that it's the whole child. And there's a lot of thought that goes into it from leadership on down, from the founding team to to newer leaders like you. Early, before we went on air, I mentioned Principal Montano at Jubilee San Antonio, and our team went on a tour, and we were just so impressed by how driven he is, and just how much love there is from him and the staff towards the students. And and we noticed that, and that goes from like pre-K up through elementary, middle school, high school. So like the next questions I want to ask you are about like like what's unique about the program that for those different age groups. So I was wondering if you could talk more about for the like kind of early childhood and elementary programs, like sort of what elements of those programs are you most proud of? Because I know that our team was really impressed with what we saw at Jubilee San Antonio.
Yeah. So talking about that conversation around the early childhood in the early elementary grade levels, the things that we are most proud of right now is really just our focus on literacy. Coming out of a pandemic, we realized that a kid who is in second grade spent all of first grade or most of first grade at home, and then their kindergarten year they got sent home in March, and so the kids' learning experience for a year and a half, they really missed out on a lot of that traditional sitting in class, working with teachers, that experience that really builds the foundation for literacy and numeracy. And so, what we're really proud of is being able to slow things down for kids so that they can grasp the things that they may have missed. And when I say slow things down, what I mean by that is just really having a focus on a longer school day. We've extended the school day so that kids can have the time with their teachers that they need so that they can close those learning gaps that they may have. But then we purchased some resources that were strategically targeting literacy in the early grades for kids who may be behind. And our teachers are using these resources in the classroom to help close those learning gaps with kids and numeracy as well, because the math skills are critical at an early age as well. And so for us, it's been about slowing down, making sure that our teachers understand where our kids are, and then they're able to meet them where they are with the right resources to make sure that they can read on grade level and they can do arithmetic on grade level. And we've done this a couple different ways. One way is when I say extending the school day, we offer to our families a after school program that's free to them, where we provide a meal, we provide a snack, and we provide an enrichment activity as well as more time on reading and more time on math. And this has been very helpful for a lot of our kids and a lot of our families because we took away the financial burden of having an after school program or where we're going to send our kids after school. We took away that financial obligation from the parents so that we can get more time with the kids. Yeah, and it's not just the math and the reading that we're focused on. We focused on the enrichment activities with that as well. And we've seen mostly our early childhood grades, more so pre-K to third and fourth grade have been the grades that have taken advantage of this mostly, but it's available all the way up through eighth grade for our kids who just need a place to go after school and our parents need somewhere to send them. So really proud about the efforts that are going into that particular activity.
Yeah. Well, you really when you talk about the importance of early reading, you're really speaking my language because that's so fundamental, and it's something that was so disrupted, because of the pandemic, and it really does just take it takes the time, it takes a commitment from staff, to put in those days to provide the extra support, and to differentiate, like, which students are missing, which skills, but that's the kind of thing that's gonna make a difference for those students, getting those fundamental reading and the literacy, the numeracy, that's gonna set them up to succeed, as they continue to go through school.
That's exactly right. And one of the tools that we purchase to help us get a better understanding of where our kids are is the NWEA MAP assessment tool. And what this tool, the way that we use this tool, and we actually purchased this last year, and we started it at the end of the year. We took our kids took an end of year assessment last year using this tool. And basically, it just tells us where kids are and it compares them to kids all across the nation. And so they took an end of year assessment. And then when they came back to school this year in September, they took a beginning of year assessment. Now we can take those two assessments and get a better understanding of where the kids' gaps are and where we need to focus our energies to make sure that they're on grade level. And our teachers have done an excellent job at using this tool to enhance their focus on instruction so that they can meet kids where they are.
Yeah, that's so important. And the map testing, that goes through, all the grades, right? Like, that's from early childhood up to, even middle school, high school, right?
Yeah, the map testing starts at third grade.
3rd grade, yeah.
Yeah, we started it at third grade, but we have some other assessment tools like CLI and iStation and Mathia that are used in the K through second grade. So it gives us the same information in terms of beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of year data
Mhm.
that allows us to track students' progress throughout the year.
Yeah, looking for that growth. Yeah, well, great. Well, that's a what a great picture of, the early childhood and, and early elementary. I'm glad to hear that students are taking advantage of the after school program and, it's free and they can get food and they can get enrichment and they can get progress on those core academic subjects. So I wanted to ask about for middle school, high school, like on the tour, like we were able to observe like high schoolers enrolled in dual credit classes and new pathways that even middle schoolers can start to get access to. So that's really exciting. And I also want to hear about the Gear Up grant that Jubilee qualified for. So I guess share some of the good news about what's happening in the middle school and high school programs, especially as it relates like to career technical education.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, I may be a little partial, but, we've got some dynamic campus principals who are leading our campuses all in all of our regions. And what they begin to do is challenge us as a district to create more opportunities for kids. And so what we did is we went out and we got a CTE director, and she's been in her position for I want to say 3.5 years now. Miss Jamie Molina is our CTE director. And then we built up that department, CTE, Career Technology Education, Career Technical Education Department. And now we have an assistant director in that department as well, and a coordinator in that department. And what they do is they basically create a plan for our middle school and high school kids to have a pathway of programs that they are interested in, and we begin to allow those kids to take classes in the areas that they're interested in. So one of the areas at one of our schools there in San Antonio, Jubilee Lakeview, which is a dynamic school now that we've got a new leader there, and teachers are knocking it out of the park there, and the kids there are just phenomenal with their positive attitudes and their behaviors and that sort of thing. But there at Lakeview, we've got a culinary program where we have students who are interested in a career in culinary. They begin to take those culinary classes early on so that at the end of their high school experience, they can walk away with a certificate that allows them to go into the workforce and be in the hospitality industry. And that's amazing for kids, especially in San Antonio, to be able to do that because it's such a city that tourists and people come to visit all the time. The hospitality industry is thriving there in San Antonio. So for us to have a program that allows kids to learn the skills that they need to go into the workforce force there is a real benefit to that community. And that's just one of those areas. We've got law enforcement as a pathway for kids to be able to engage in early on. And kids can begin to work on criminal justice classes and be trained by an officer actually that works for us, a peace officer that works for us. And they get to experience that in real time with someone who is experienced at it and can tell them everything they need to know about it. And then they can make a decision on if that's a career that they want to pursue. That pathway could also take a kid down the route of becoming an attorney at some point because of the criminal justice classes that they're exposed to. So, really excited about those opportunities there at Jubilee Lakeview. And Jubilee Lakeview is a university prep campus. And if you guys get a chance, I want you to go by and see the principal and sign up, take a tour, and just get to know the principal, Miss Rayna there, and see the great things that are going on there at Jubilee Lakeview. Now, I mentioned that campus as a university prep campus because it's right there by Our Lady of the Lake. And the dual credit classes that we offer to our kids there, not just there at Lakeview, but we offer them all throughout our district. But there at Lakeview, the goal is to have that partnership with Our Lady of the Lake and have our kids taking those dual credit classes. So we set them up to jump right into a 4-year degree if that's what they want to pursue. Those dual credit classes that we offer are free to kids and families, and they're earning high school credit at the same time that they're earning their college credits. And that's a benefit to families to go ahead and allow kids to earn college credit while they're in high school. And we put a big focus on that and creating more of those opportunities throughout our district. And JSA, Jubilee San Antonio, has those same opportunities. I mean, you mentioned the Gear Up grant, Inga, and I'm happy to share that Jubilee is one of 3 organizations in the state of Texas to receive this grant, just 3. And we're the only actual school system to receive the grant this year. And it's a $23 million grant over the next 7 years that's all about gaining early awareness and readiness for undergraduate programs and careers. And so, what we will do is infuse funding and resources into our campuses so that our kids gain that early awareness around college and career readiness. What that looks like is we're going to have partners that come into campus, college partners come into campus and talk with kids about their requirements and what they're looking for and what you have to have in place to go to this university or that university. Then we're going to have some career partners that come into the campuses and spend time talking with kids about if you want to be an engineer, you want to be an architect, or you want to be an accountant, this is what you have to do to be in this job and share what they do on a day-to-day basis. And then we're gonna create some opportunities where kids can actually go and have some internships with those organizations during the summertime. We actually got a program that we're in the works with San Antonio Works on creating some experiences for kids this summer, juniors and seniors this summer, where there's paid internships where they can go and work for companies this summer and learn about that job and get paid while they're doing it. Really excited about those partnerships that we have going on for our high school kids. Middle school is definitely a thriving area. Our big focus right now is pushing down some of our high school classes into middle school. So our 8th grade kids can actually begin to earn high school credit while they're in 8th grade, like their Algebra 1 credit, Spanish 1 credit. We're working on trying to figure out a BIM credit, BIM, Business Information Management credit that they can get, and a English 1 credit. If they can get those credits in 8th grade, then they're freeing up their schedule so that when they go to high school, we can allow them to take more dual credit classes or more CTE classes that just gets them prepared for their post-secondary life after they leave us. I'm sorry I threw a lot at you on that one, Inga, but I get really excited when we're talking about the opportunities for our middle and high
And
school kids.
no, it's fantastic. What I think one thing, this is sort of like general advice for my listeners, like if you have for the families who have like young kids right now and like they're thinking back about what high school was like when they were growing up, it's like it's a different game, guys. It's a
It
totally different
is.
game. Like I mean, dual credit helps kids, they show up for college already having, this knowledge, this experience and credits, and they're more likely to graduate college in 4 years if they already have some of those basic classes locked in, and then they can, and they've already gotten a taste of like, with these pathways. It's like, so kids who are wanting to go to college, and like they think they want to be a prosecutor, but they can start taking criminal justice classes in high school and then see if it's what they like and get some credits, and then they're on their way, and maybe they won't change majors as much once they get
That's
to college,
exactly
right?
right.
you know
You
yeah,
you hit it right on the head with that one.
yeah,
And the
and it's
rigor of the work, that a college requires of kids. We don't want kids to be culture shocked when they get to school and they haven't done college work before. We want them to experience that early on so that they can know, okay, this is the level of work you got to do to be successful in college.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, and it's, you talked about gear up, like, it's that goal setting, right? It's if a student decides that, "Hey, I really wanna be an engineer," then it's like, "Okay, let's have a conversation about math," right? Like, starting math, a little earlier, making sure you apply yourself and get all the help you need to keep making progress on math, and just, like, having that guidance, from, adults with that expertise, and, yeah, how great that kids can get internships and get some, real world experience about what expectations are like in the workplace, and they can bring that motivation to the classes that they take.
Yeah, and we were in discussions about that partnership with San Antonio Works, and I believe we were told that we were the only charter. There's other ISDs that participate in this, but we were the only charter that reached out and said, "Hey, we want our kids to get involved in this." And so they were willing to allow us to partner with them and begin to talk to them about the businesses that are available and the opportunities that are available for kids. And so we think this is going to be a real game changer for our juniors and seniors to be able to go and experience the career path that they may be interested in and get paid to do that before they ever even leave high school.
Mhm. And you mentioned about for early childhood, that there were, students who spent time at home and maybe didn't get as much exposure to literacy or numeracy. And, the teens also had an experience with the pandemic of not being able to connect with their friends and not be able to go out in the real world and get those experiences that they would have been getting. And, so how important is it to, help them get back out in the world and get connected with employers who want their help, and just and kind of reestablish, these things, that are right, that this is part of the Jubilee values. It's like, being a leader and going out there and getting things done and making our community better.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you brought that up. Thank you for bringing that up because the piece that we found as kids transition back into school this August that we had to spend more time on was the social emotional well-being of our students, especially for our middle schoolers and high schoolers. Not that the younger ones weren't experiencing some anxiety of not being familiar with school. They lost that familiarity with school. But for our middle schoolers and high schoolers who understood what school was supposed to be like and it was no longer that way, man, their anxiety and their social emotional disconnects were obvious. And so we spent a lot of time pouring into our counselors and even bringing on more counselors to be available for our students. We're actually in the process of looking for more now that are designed to be there for our students and do some small groups with our students to just help them understand what's going on inside of them and to help them think through what life is like in a pandemic and what life can be like after a pandemic and how you still have to focus on taking care of yourself and taking care of the work of school, at the same time while you're working through just this new world that we're in. And that's been a real critical piece for us that we've invested a lot of resources into, and it's paying off for our kids and our families. And it ties into our determined destiny values. And so, if I can just share a little bit about our determined destiny values, we took the acronym, the word Jubilee, turned it into an acronym. J is for joy, U is for understanding, balance, integrity, leadership, empowerment, and excellence. And there's two that I want to hone in on in this discussion, and it's about understanding and empowerment. The value of understanding for us is understanding others, understanding myself, and understanding the situation. And what that should produce is strong communication and strong relationships. And when we teach our kids this value and our staff this value, we really talk about how it's important to understand others and what they're going through, and really try to empathize and see things through other people's eyes. And then we talk about understanding ourselves and being aware, self aware, and doing some self reflection so that we know what's going on within us. And then understanding the situation, understanding that things are not like they used to be. So I can't respond like I used to in every situation. So we want our kids and we want our staff to really have a good feel for that value, because as we work through this pandemic, that particular value is going to be one that's going to help others make it through, and that's where a lot of people are like, I'm just trying to make it through. And that's where we have to really grasp that value of understanding others, understanding myself, and understanding the situation. And then that value of empowerment. And that value is all about encouraging others to be their very best. Sometimes we think about empowerment like, I want to be empowered. I want to be empowered. I got to be empowered to make my own decisions and that sort of thing. And that's scratching the surface of it. But what we talk about with that value of empowerment is how it's my responsibility to empower others, but not just to give something to them that says, here, go and do this. I empower you to go and do that. But with my words, I empower others. I empower them to believe in themselves by me being encouraging and saying things that lift them up and not tear them down. And that's important to us to teach our kids and our staff to empower others with your words. Let them know that you believe in them. Give them the skills and the capacity that they need to be successful. Empower them with those things, and then give them the belief in themselves so that they can go out and be successful.
Yeah. Well, thank you for giving us insight into those two different destiny values, from Jubilee, right? The U for understanding and the first E for empowerment. I want to mention, like, in the blog post, there's more discussion about the values, and also a link to like a PDF that you'll have on your website. I thought was really helpful. So if people want to read deeper about, like, all the letters of the acronym, and what I've seen, and, like, I've been pre-pandemic. I went to the old Jubilee San Antonio campus, and I went to Lakeview, and I saw the kitchen, so I know exactly what you mean about the culinary program. And so on those visits, and then the more recent visit at Jubilee San Antonio, that the level of self-awareness and kindness towards other students, and like self-regulation that I saw in the students, that's been consistent about Jubilee culture for as long as I've been aware of Jubilee. And it really comes, like, it's not just a slogan, like, it comes through in how the teachers are treating the students and how the students treat each other. And it creates a better environment for learning, because they're ready to take in information because they have this level of self-awareness and self-regulation. And you guys are pouring into that even more, because what kind of stress the pandemic put on students and the kind of habits they need to relearn, because now they're in this group environment again, and they're not having to deal with the restrictions and stuff that there were during COVID. And so, like, and you talked about people just feeling like, how do we get through this? How, right, the sense of fatigue, or, like, new headlines that are scary all over again. But somehow we have to keep our eye on the big picture. Like at the very beginning, you talked about the mission and values, and the goal of excellence, and building up students to be leaders. That somehow we need to keep that vision in mind even while we feel like we're still enduring some really strange conditions.
Yes. And that ties into another area of focus that we as an organization really put an emphasis on. And I'll just share this with your audience. Jubilee, we pride ourselves on obviously our leadership, our character, and excellence, but our athletics is a big part of who we are. But not just the physical aspect of athletics, the mental aspect of athletics. So we don't have PE classes, we have what we call athletic conditioning classes. And inside of those athletic conditioning classes, yes, we're doing all the athletic things and teaching kids how to be good athletes with their body and the movements that they need, the skills that they need, but also how to take care of their bodies from a health perspective. Eating the right foods and not being aware of the calorie intake versus output and that sort of thing, but also the mental aspect of taking care of yourself mentally as an athlete, because you got to have a strong mind to be successful as an athlete. And if you're going to be a top-notch athlete, it's just as much of a mental game as it is a physical or skill game. So, just wanted to reiterate that point that for us, it's not PE, and we start this all the way down with our pre-K kids. It's not PE for us; it's athletic conditioning at our campuses.
Yeah, and the facilities, especially I guess longer, yeah, like Lakeview has a beautiful field with, of course, a view of Our Lady of the Lake University. And then at Jubilee San Antonio, there's an indoor facility that's like part like hard court, like for perfect for basketball, volleyball, and there's also indoor turf that's like softer, but it's also like indoor and air conditioned. So it's a
That's
great
right.
environment for kids to to really be their best. They can push themselves as much as they can, and they've got like outdoor playgrounds and stuff for young kids. They can run around and have fun. So we get a lot of questions in the Facebook group, the discussion group about I have a really active kid. What should I do? And so other parents will chime in and say, okay, this school has recess, and this school has a great athletic program, and that's the kind of thing that parents are looking for. Like we're trying to help parents find the schools that are the best fit for their kids, and you know every family needs to know that athletics are really a strength at Jubilee. Whether it's conditioning classes, it's also like the charter schools play each other in these leagues, and these are great scholars, but they're putting a lot of effort into their athletic excellence as well.
That's right. That's right. And I just want to encourage people as you're looking around. We're in re-enrollment period right now, and people are looking around and thinking about the best place for their kid. I just want to encourage you: call a campus, a Jubilee campus, and set up a tour. We understand that we don't expect you to go to our website and see the things on our website and say, "Yep, I'm ready to enroll." We want you to make sure that it's the right fit for you and your family. So sign up, take a tour, come meet a few teachers, sit down and have a conference with the principal. We invite all of those things so that you can have a better understanding of who we are as an organization. The thing that I've really stressed with groups that I've been talking to lately about Jubilee is that, over the past 3 years since I've been superintendent, we've changed dramatically. I hear from some parents sometimes that say, I used to go to Jubilee and I'm just calling, trying to figure out if things have changed with Jubilee. And I'm able to share the ways that things have changed with Jubilee from our campus leaders, principals, assistant principals. We've put content coaches on every campus that's focused on reading and math so that the academics are a central focus to what we're doing on campus. While we're going to build the whole child, we're committed to that. But we don't want our academics to seem like it's not as important. Our teachers are engaging in professional development weekly. We're growing their capacity at the campuses on how to deliver instruction in a way that's engaging to kids, that kids want to be a part of their class. We're pouring resources into that, whether that's time, money, or energy. We're dedicated to raising teacher capacity. Our leaders and you'll see me and my leadership team on campuses all throughout our regions because we're inspecting what we expect. That's one of those things as a leader, you say, in order to know what's going on, you got to be able to see it. You got to be able to talk to the people about it, to hear and understand what they're going through and what they need for their jobs to be easier. And that's what we've been working on the past few years, listening to our teachers, figuring out what they need to be successful, listening to our parents, figuring out what it is that they want from their charter school, and then we've been implementing those things just little by little along the way. So we're truly a family-centered organization that wants to listen and learn and be the premier choice for families and for employees.
I'm going to echo what Dr. Phillips said about school tours because it is really like you really do need to see it, and there's a level of attention like to the facilities, and then also just like what the learning environment is like, like having mottos and posters and stuff showing student work on the walls, like you
Yeah.
get to see those things, you get to see like the level of attention and engagement that students have towards teachers. That's always something I look at. It's like are the students excited to be here, and do they care what the teacher's saying? And I saw students just really absorbed in their work, especially in things like fine arts and music. Like they were so happy to be there and be participating in those things. And that's the kind of thing that a family can see when they're on the tour. And you mentioned, like, I mean, we've talked about a lot of different elements, like the dual credit, the career technical education. You mentioned introducing NWA map testing. This professional development, like this emphasis on the core subjects, offering the tutoring, the after school programs, like those are all things that lift up the academic side. So if you bring together the academic side and the athletics and the culture of teaching leadership, bringing those things together, like that's a really great service to students, and it's a choice that families should look at.
Yes, I agree. We pride ourselves on being that organization that if a family wants to be a part of our organization, then we're going to find a fit for them. If it's not at this school for whatever reason, then we'll talk about, okay, we've got in San Antonio, we've got 6 campuses, so we'll find the right fit for you. You may say, okay, well, we went over to this campus and we weren't crazy about this, and say, okay, well, let's try this other campus. Let's set up a tour to meet with this principal and this team and see what you think about that. And that's the beauty of being a charter school. And we have transportation where we transport kids all over the city to our schools in Jubilee. So we really try to cater to our families by sticking to our values, but connecting with them directly so that we can hear and understand what the needs are. I
Mhm.
did promise somebody that I would um, share every opportunity that I got about this, and this is very exciting for us. So this year, Jubilee San Antonio had a padded football team, and this was
Ooh.
the first campus of Jubilee to have a padded football team. Now it's 6-man football, and we started this last year, and it was just kind of rough getting off the ground and that sort of thing. But this was our second year of playing padded football, and we made it to the third round of the playoffs. So those guys, I got a chance to go and see them. They were having fun and playing real football. Not a lot of charter schools allow kids the opportunity to do that. So just wanted to make sure I shared that with the community out there.
That's right. That's right. Oh, that's the kind of thing that families are asking about. Because sports is an opportunity to build character and show leadership, and it's being part of a team and how students treat each other. How do you deal with defeat? How are you gracious about winning? Those are great life lessons that kids can learn from sports. And
Man, you hit that right on the head.
yeah, yeah. Well, I always want to close out with telling people some key dates and links and things about enrollment. But are there any, like, I love that story about the 6-man football. Are there any other like sort of gems, anecdotes that would help parents understand school culture at Jubilee?
Um, let's see. We've got so much going on where people are connecting with Jubilee. Um, let's see. Let me think through this here. Gear Up is a big one where we've got partners from all over that are saying, "Hey, how can we help? How can we help with Gear Up? We want to really make this be successful for you guys." So that's a big one. The after school program is an amazing opportunity for families. We call it Access. And so that's an amazing opportunity where we have that after school program. It's free to families. It's an enrichment program where kids are learning how to do dance and gardening and cooking and all those things in that after school program while closing the learning gaps around reading and math. Our CTE programs are growing like crazy at all of our campuses in terms of technology, nursing, law enforcement, culinary, technology. Oh, I know one that I'm really excited about that we will kick off in the spring at most of our campuses. We kind of polled some campuses to see who could really engage in this, but robotics. That's a big one that we're going to be kicking off this spring. The opportunity for kids to build their own robots and compete with those robots. Really excited about that. And kind of in conjunction with the science fair that we're going to be hosting this spring as well. Science fair at our campuses where kids get to show off some of their skills and talents around science. And man, what a great opportunity that is for kids to kind of get out of the box, get creative, do some things that really show their creative side, and bringing their academics together with that. So, robotics and science fairs are things that we're really looking forward to this spring.
Wow, there is a lot going on at Jubilee. Actually, I remember when we were touring Jubilee San Antonio and we saw like the way they were kind of unpacking some of the robot gear, getting ready for that. And yeah,
Yes,
it's impressive. Yeah, yeah. Wow. It's hard to sum up everything that's going on at Jubilee, but what you said, Dr. Phillips, is contact the campus and set up, start setting up some tours, and then families can find which campuses offer which sports and which pathways, and which just feel like the right environment for their students, and then they can. Oh yeah, I want to be sure to mention. So open enrollment is going on now. February 9th is the deadline for open enrollment, but families can still apply after that. It just they might get put on the waiting list. So the best chance to
that's
get
correct.
in is applying during open enrollment. So do it today. Just do it before February 9th.
That's right. That's right. And if I can just close with this one piece, because this was a piece that was near and dear to my heart that we started last year. And so my first year is taking over as superintendent, and it was the COVID year. It was difficult, and we did some Zoom calls with our seniors a little bit before graduation, and they were scared. They were anxious. Some of them didn't know what they were going to be doing after they walked across the stage. And after those meetings, I had my team commit. We all committed that kids would not walk across the stage in Jubilee and not know where they were going and what they were going to be doing. And so we mapped out a plan for how that was going to happen. That every senior that walks across the stage at Jubilee knows exactly what that next day is supposed to look like for them, or those next few weeks, what that's going to look like, whether that was them going off to college, them starting a career, or them going to the military, whatever that was. We were going to have adults sit down with kids, seniors, and map that out ahead of time. So those kids had the confidence and they were empowered to know what their next phase of life was going to be like. We just don't want kids to graduate from us and just be able to say, oh, yeah, I graduated from Jubilee. We want them to graduate from Jubilee and know what the next phase of life is going to look like for them and be confident and courageous to take on that next challenge. So many times, seniors are afraid of what the next chapter of life is going to present to them. Well, we want to, at Jubilee, we want to prepare kids for that. And we do that ahead of time and empower them to be ready for that next phase.
Wow, that really speaks to me. I have a ninth grader this year, and I'm grateful he goes to a charter school, and I'm grateful that it feels like the adults are looking out for him. And I think about that day about like what do I need to do? It feels like the time is so short, between
Yeah,
when he gets to graduation and what he wants to do after that. And I think as a mom or a dad, like what you want is for your kids to jump in with both feet and just take up in as many experiences as they can, to try as many different classes as they can, and have adults around, expanding their horizons. Because my son's probably going to do things that I've never even thought of, because he loves
that's
technology
right.
and the world is changing daily. And I'm just glad he's got people in his life, sharing their ideas and offering that mentorship and this commitment that y'all see the Jubilee graduating class as it's like no one's going to fall off the boat, right? You guys are going to take care of everybody and make sure
That's
every
right.
student has a plan. I think as a parent, you want to know that your child's in an environment where no one's going to give up, no one's going to throw up their hands and say, well, we'll just let that one fall behind. No, they're all going to make it to a good start for the rest of their lives.
That's right.
Yeah, well, that's a wonderful thing. Well, I hope some folks watching this video, like click through, go to the blog post, go visit Jubilee Academies on the internet, call a campus, go on a tour. I hope we've helped spread the word about, and there's just I can't even imagine like we, there's just so much going on at Jubilee. I always learn more when I talk to you, Dr. Phillips, about new programs you guys have going on. It's great to see the progress.
Thank you very much. Thank you again for the time, Inga. I really appreciate you being willing to sit down and showcase Jubilee. We have a lot going on, and we're excited about it. And we put our best foot forward. And we're committed to kids. If nothing else, we're committed to kids. We're committed to families. We're committed to our staff to ensure that people have what they need to be successful in life. That's what school systems should be about. And that's what Jubilee Academies is all about.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, on that note, we'll close off the chat, and I look forward to visiting more campuses and connecting with you again in the future.
Yes, ma'am. You're always welcome at Jubilee. Always.
Thank you. Okay, have a great evening. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.